for a very, very special guest, Mr. Emmanuel Asuquo. Now, hey, Emmanuel, or E-Man, welcome to the Business and Wealth Show.
Hey, Matt, bro, how are you, man? Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor to be here.
You know, it's most welcome. I mean, thank you for gracing us with your presence here. Now, for those who haven't heard of, shall I call you E-Man or Emmanuel? What is it people are saying out there? I'm hearing both.
Yeah, I mean, you can call me E-Man. Most people call me E-Man. It's fine. Yeah.
Right. So you may have seen E-Man. He's been featured on television, newspapers, in the Times, Telegraph, Sunday, the Daily Mail. He's been featured on TV programs all around money and helping people with their money situations. Yeah. For people who feel like they don't have money, where they are actually mismanaging their money, people who think they have no savings. So suddenly, every single month I've got some money in the bank account now. So we're going to be talking all things money in relation to wealth creation, in relation to your business, in relation to yourself, how you are managing money or mismanaging money, and why the subject of money is such a big subject for a lot of people, couples and business owners. So Emmanuel, listen, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get to doing what you are doing now influencing and helping thousands of people all over the country?
Yeah, so my background is one of many people over here in the UK. My parents were born in Nigeria. They came over. I was the first to be born in my family in the UK. We grew up on a council estate surrounded by poverty. My parents were doing odd jobs. My dad did accounts in Nigeria. When he came, he had to study all over again. A lot of people go through it. They don't recognize anything that you do before. So he had to study again. Obviously, when he came, the pound and the Nigerian currency was exactly the same. So he had money, he was fine. Okay. And then, I think what happened over time is that, I don't know, they kind of got into the system and no one really taught them how the system works. So obviously in Africa, Nigeria, you don't get a mortgage. You just buy the land and build a house. You don't, do you know what I mean? And so when you come over here and no one teaches you about mortgages, no one teaches you about credit cards, credit scores, all of this, the banking system doesn't teach you anything. All of a sudden, you're starting from scratch. And where do you go to get that help? And I think one of the things that inspires me today is that I want to be the financial advisor that my parents should have had.
Right.
The advisor that my parents needed. So growing up in poverty, I grew up in a place called Limehouse.
Limehouse?
Yeah, Limehouse, which is in Tower Hamlets, East London. Yeah. And Limehouse has the same postcode as a place called Canary Wharf. And so you can imagine growing up on a council estate in poverty, and yet some of the biggest companies, billion-dollar companies in this world, you share the same postal address. And it was just like, I've got to get over there. I don't know how. I don't know how I want to do it, but I've got to get over there. And I always tell people the story about leaving the lights on in the kitchen. If I left the light on in the kitchen, I used to get in really big trouble. Big trouble. And obviously, when you are struggling with money, the light being on and nobody being there is a clear sign that money is being wasted, which is painful because you know what you're going through, you know the hardship that you're going through to get that money, and to think it's being wasted get you upset. But I used to look out the window and see all the buildings in Canary Wharf at the nighttime, the lights are on and everyone had gone home. And I want to tell people, like, one thing I realize is that I tell myself today, don't lose the naivety of a child.
What do you mean by that?
When I looked at those buildings, I saw the light on, and naively, I said to myself, they must have money because they can leave the lights on.
Okay.
So I'm going to go and work over there. I didn't think to myself, oh, I don't have a CV, I don't have any experience, none of that existed. All that existed was, I'm in a state of poverty. These lot must have money because they can leave the lights on and I can't. And now my mission is to get over there.
So what age would you say you are at when you're looking at these things, trying to make sense of the world, trying to make sense of your condition, trying to make sense of how other people are living? What age were you?
14.
Oh, 14. So you remember very well.
Very well.
Was there a specific incident that happened? That's 14. It wasn't 12. It wasn't 13. It was 14. What happened?
I was 14. So what happened is that I was coming back from secondary school, walking up the stairs. And as I got out the stairs, I saw my mum sitting on the steps. She had slipped. You know, if you know the stairs in the council estate, very dirty, you know,
hard,
all of these types of concrete. She had slipped. She was on the stairs, sitting in mess and all of the flies everywhere. And I'm like, what's going on? And she couldn't get up because she was in pain. I helped her get up. I took her home. She got changed. I saw her the next day. She was smiling. I said, Mom, why are you smiling after what you went through yesterday? And she said to me, son, I'm smiling because I know I'm going to provide for my family. And I said to myself, Mom, you will never, ever regret your investment in me.
Wow.
And I clearly, and then from there, I started to look for the opportunity. How am I going to make sure I can repay my mom for the investment? And that's when I saw this is how I'm going to do it.
Wow.
You know, like
Einstein moment. The window.
Yeah, because the buildings had always been there.
Right.
But until I had a why, all I saw was buildings. Once I had my why, now I had a vision.
Right. You could see
it goes from sight to vision. We all have sight and we see things as they are. But when you have a vision on something, you see things beyond what they are and what they could be. And so for me, now I had to live with, forget where I'm at. I'm now working towards where I'm going to, because I know where I'm going. I'm going to that building. I'm going to make it.
So what was the steps to get into that building then? Did you work for a bank or wealth company? What happened? What you went through? I presume being African parents that you had, just like me, go to school, study hard, get good grades, make sure you get a good job, right?
Yes.
So what happened?
So what happened was I went to Greenwich University. I got in there. I only got into university because I got unconditional because I played basketball. So they gave me unconditional. I didn't do good at school. And I was at university understanding that everyone's talking about getting grad job, and grad job was a 2-1. I'm like, I'm not getting a 2-1. I know. I just like to have too much fun in this place. I'm not listening. I'm falling asleep in the lectures. I'm not going to get a 2-1. Wow. So I had a job. I got a job at Marks and Spencer's, 5 a.m. in the morning. Wow. And I used to go there 5 a.m. in the morning, walk, because it's in Canary Wharf. So I used to walk and then get the DLR one or two stops. And so I used to do that. And I used that experience to get a job as a cashier in Barclays. So I got a job as a cashier in Barclays, and there I added value. I tell people the most important, forget money, value is everything. But what happened is that I was a cashier, but when I didn't go into the branch didn't hit their target. Sometimes you weren't there. When I weren't there. And sometimes what happens is we tell ourselves, I'm a cashier, I'm the lowest person in this bank, so I have to do the lowest amount of work.
So how did you add value as a cashier then? Because people really need to understand this, because this is something I live by, because it's so important. I tell people, add value, doesn't matter what you're doing, the cleaner or whatever. So what did you do to add value?
So what I did, I added my personality, my branch manager, and obviously having a mentor helps. So my branch manager was a young guy, and he basically told me, you got great personality. Read the pamphlets in the banking hall. So there used to be back in the day, I used to be pamphlets that say, this is a credit card, this is a bank account, this is a mortgage. And I used to just walk past them. My branch manager said, pick one up and read it on the way to home, read on the way to work, and learn this inside out. So I read all the pamphlets, learned them, and then he just said, use your personality, talk to customers, and then if you spot an opportunity, refer them to personal bankers. And I used to get kicked out of my class when I was in school for making everyone laugh.
But now you're turning that into money.
Now I'm turning it into money. And not only that, those times everyone used the bank. The queue would be long, 30, 35 people in the queue. And people would wait. They'd say, no, they used to call me Manny those times. I want to be served by Manny. I want Manny to serve me. I don't mind the wait. I don't mind if I spend my 1 hour lunch break. I want to be served. I want to be able to speak to this guy. This guy makes me feel better about my life. Right. This guy makes me enjoy this moment. So I don't just want to be served. I want to be served by Manny. And so because of that, I did the value, made them feel good. So when I then said, oh, you don't have a credit card, you need to get a credit card. Well, if Manny says get a credit card, I'm going to get a credit card.
Because now they trusted you, right?
Yeah, Manny's my friend.
Right. It's not even the business now. It's not even a cashier. This is someone who is looking after my interests.
Exactly.
Right. They trust you, so they're listening to everything you're saying.
So every day, the personal bankers used to fight. I want to get the leads from Manny today. They used to fight each other because they know it's coming. They know us, and it's coming. They're coming to sign up. They're not coming, no arguments, no. They're coming to sign up. And this is what I say: don't operate in where you're at. Operate in where you want to be.
That's
So
it.
I used to know all the different accounts, like, you know, the Premier account, the upgrades, all of the. I used to know what they are, what you the products, what you get with it. Why? Because then I can give them and tell them all of that. So when they go downstairs to see the personal banker, they're telling them, yeah, I want this account, I want these benefits. It's going to cost me X, Y, Z. The personal banker's like,
So it sounds like they know what they're talking
they know
about.
what they're talking about. So the personal banker's like, well, this is the easiest sign up I've ever got in my life. What? Who told you, Manny? And
Man.
so what I tell people is, don't act where you are, act where you're going, act where you want to be. And so because of that, by 22, I became the youngest financial advisor in Barclays in the country.
In the country.
In the
Amazing.
country. As in, all my colleagues were mid-40s, early 50s. And I'm 22. All of them could have been my mum or dad.
Wow.
And we're doing the same job.
Amazing, amazing. And so from Barclays, then what happened for you to transition into, there was a TV program I saw you on,
yes.
I can't remember the name, but you was there and you were helping these people work out why, you know, their finances, things.
Yes.
What program was that?
So there's a few, but I think there was Save Well, Spend Better. There was Secret Spenders. And then I did the documentary with BBC, with the BBC as well. So I've done a few TV shows, but what the transition was that I kept getting made redundant. Why?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I kept getting made redundant. I got made redundant 3 times. I went to different companies and got made redundant. And I realized that, you know, they weren't ready for me. Sometimes we have to understand that you are ahead of your time. But they like the idea of hiring a young black guy who's got energy and, you know, who's great at speaking and all of that. But the reality is they're used to middle-aged white men who talk in a certain way, and they think that's all their clients will accept. So the fear of, will my clients actually accept this young guy that doesn't, because what they would try and do is make me speak like them. And it's like, no, now I'm losing my charisma. Now I'm losing what makes me me.
Right.
And so because I refuse to speak like them and act like them, they'll be like, well, the clients are not going to relate to you, so go and let go. And actually, by the 3rd time, my wife had just had our 4th child. I took 2 weeks off paternity leave, went back, and they made me redundant. They made me redundant, and it made me realize
it's redundant.
They don't care. Well, I'm just a number, right? I'm just a number. And so I had my I'm not going back moment. And I want to let people know, sometimes you will think at your lowest moment, you'll be in your lowest moment and feel like, I don't deserve this. But actually, your lowest moment is the moment that's freeing you from the chains that you're in. When I look back now, employment for me was like slavery.
Right.
But when I was in employment, I felt amazing because I had this structure and I was getting paid. But actually, I wasn't able to be myself. I wasn't able to move as I wanted to move. I wasn't able to talk as I wanted to. I wasn't even able to see clients that looked like me or spoke like me or came from my background. And actually, what happened is that I feel God was pushing me to my destiny.
There you go.
So those redundancies that felt like pain, that felt like struggle, that felt like rejection, were actually God pushing me to where I'm supposed to be. And just the other day, I met a few of the guys that, you know, I used to work with in that company that my last company I worked in back in 2019 that made me redundant. And they were like, wow, we see you everywhere. You get more publicity than our firm.
There you go.
And it's like, actually, you don't need to, you know your purpose, you know what you're born to do. Because actually, I didn't get benefit. I didn't feel like I was living my purpose, helping rich people get richer.
Right.
But now I help the nation. Can you imagine this same boy from a council estate, from all the poverty and everything that I grew up, when something financial happens in this country, they call me and say, Emmanuel, can you come on and explain to the nation what this means, what's going on, and what they can do?
Wow. I mean, inspirational story, I'll tell you that. And I want to get into the money side in a moment and the kind of thing you're helping people with. But what I'm hearing you say is, look, and I'm hearing the story from school days, uni days. You're not an A grade student. You even went to uni, didn't get that 2-1, so you wasn't but all I'm hearing for all your journey is that I will not be boxed in. When I'm boxed in, I can't be myself. And if I'm boxed in, I can't help those people, whether it's the people coming into the bank, whether it's the nation, So I love that, because you're saying, live your life on purpose. What is it you are supposed to be doing? Do that. What's your God-given talent? That's a clue. Live that. Be yourself. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. because certainly it's worked for you, right?
Yes.
You've turned your disaster into your mastery. You've turned into that adversity into something really worth noting and notable. Good
Yeah.
job. Good
No,
job.
thank you. And it's
Good
so,
job.
it's so important.
Absolutely. So tell us about money,
Yeah.
and especially for a lot of our listeners who are entrepreneurs and business owners, what they need to be considering. Because I teach people about, look, focus on building a business asset that can create wealth for you in the future.
Yeah.
But the basics of it is really about money management first of all. So what are some of the essentials for everyone, even business owners, to make sure they have employed within their money situation?
I think the biggest thing I can ever tell anybody is to know your why. Is to know your purpose. Know why you are doing what you're doing. The reason I say that is I meet clients that are very wealthy. Very wealthy. Well, I mean, some really wealthy people. And you know what? They'll buy a house, for example, buy a nice 6-bed house. They'll go to their friend's house. Their friend has 8 beds, and they hate their house. They'll buy a Ferrari, nice Ferrari. They'll go to their friend's house. Their friend has a Lamborghini, and now they want to like. If you don't know if I know my why, if I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, then if I know that I want to buy a house, if my friend buys a car, I'm happy for him, but it doesn't bother me because that's not my why. That's not what I'm focused on. I'm focused on a house. And so what happens is that because we don't know our why, we allow social media and peer pressure to make us do things that means that we end up squandering our money. I have met people who make, £1 million a month. And when you check, and I'm not talking about when I was in the bank, you open their account and they are 999 in their overdraft.
Crazy.
You didn't even know you could get overdraft that big. Like they literally are in over, like they can't manage it because no matter how much money comes in, if you don't have the right mindset and you don't understand how money works and you don't understand your value. So forget the value of money. Do you understand your value and your worth? Because a lot of us, what we do with money is that we feel money gives us value. But the reality is that you need to know that you're already valuable. And because you're already valuable, money can't make you any more valuable.
Right.
All it can do is help you enjoy the life that you've got. And when you understand that concept, then you start to say, well, do I really need to spend money on these clothes or these trainers? How many times am I going to buy the same trainers in different colors?
Right. And for some people place value on there. Yeah. And we realize at the end of the month, I've got no money to pay my bills. Yeah. Right. So maybe it's the wrong thing to focus on. So I heard you say, know your purpose. In other words, know your why.
Yeah.
Know your values. What do you stand for? What is it you really want, rather than watching everybody else?
Yeah.
What else, Manny? Because it sounds too simplistic. I want to have money each month. I want to make a lot more money. Manny is saying, look, know my purpose. Okay, fine. Okay, whatever it is, values. Okay, I'll study that and see what that is. What else do I need to do?
The biggest thing I can tell people: delay your gratification. And people feel like what I'm saying is that not to have fun. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you have a budget, you can budget in the fun that you want to have. You can have money, because I always tell people a budget sets you free. People think a budget limits you, but actually it sets you free because you know that everything else has been taken care of. So this pool of money that you have, you can enjoy it because you know you've paid your bills, you've invested, you've saved, you've done all your responsibilities, and now you can enjoy whatever's left and guilt-free. You don't need to think, oh, I'm doing this, but I still need to pay British Gas. You don't need to worry about it. But the big thing for me is delaying your gratification, because the problem is if you earn money and use your earned money to live your lifestyle, guess what? You always have to earn money.
That's true.
And so what happens is now, and this is what I see now, I see people working as hard as they did in their 20s and 30s in their 50s and 60s.
And it's not sustainable.
It's impossible. Your body is not built to be doing that, what you're meant to do in your 20s and 30s in your 50s and 60s.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When you say about delayed gratification, all the things you said make sense. I remember there was a time years ago, I was broke, over 100 grand in debt. So, and I was struggling. Things weren't going right. And I had to go, there was no money. I had to go and learn a lot of this stuff you're saying. Lots of books, went on lots of courses, turned my 100 grand debt into multi-millions, right? Yeah. Financially free, started, I have all the nice trappings, all good. But it's essential people learn from the ground that whatever situation you're in, you can overcome that, you can change that. And the foundation is so important. The foundation is so important. Why? Because if the foundation's not right, doesn't matter how much money you make or earn, you're still going to somehow self-sabotage or jeopardize that situation. Especially like you said, look, one account, over $1 million each, but 900 grand in debt every single month. How does that happen? Poor man. Anything you want to say to that?
Exactly. And so for me, it's a case of, when I say delayed gratification, what I'm saying is that there's a bit in between. So what happens is that you need to be putting your money, you work hard for your money, put your money in something to make your money work for you. So that over time that will build. Now, this is the big thing, over time. Too many of us think that we can get rich quick. It doesn't work. Money and wealth doesn't work like that. And remember, success leaves clues. So if you look at anybody successful, anybody, I promise you, it is time, being successful consistently over time, that has allowed them, even sometimes failing consistently over time has led to their success. But it takes time, because time brings experience. And also it allows for compounding. Whatever you're putting your money into, whatever business idea, even your business compounds. So when we think about compound interest, we think about money, but actually your business, how it started, over time, all of a sudden now you can afford staff. Over time, all of a sudden, the things that you used to do every day, you're not doing them anymore. Somebody else is doing that. You're doing something different. And it compounds and compounds and continues to grow. It's the same concept. That takes time. And so when we're talking about building wealth and talking about trying to change your situation, in the beginning, yes, you have to do the work. You have to go and get a job, or you have to start a business. You have to make that income. But over time, you invest that income. Now your investments pay for the lifestyle. So that, like what we're saying, in your 50s and 60s, you're not working as hard as you were in your 20s and 30s.
I love that. What are some basics that, I hear what you're saying about purpose, why, values, budgeting, money management. I hear all of that. If there were 3 or 4 things that someone listening now and saying, hey, I want to fix my money situation. It's been going on for too long. I'm living like this 10 years, 15 years. What are some quick steps? Step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, step number 4, in regards to my money, once I understand what my purpose and values are?
The biggest thing is that what you have to understand is leverage. The way money works is that the problem with a lot of us is that we only live to the money that we make, which limits how the system works. So the system works on leverage. So we all remember the Donald Trump quote, my dad gave me a small loan of £1 million to get started. And today he's a billionaire. So what does that show you? It shows you that money makes money, right?
Absolutely.
So a lot of us, especially coming from, the ethnic minority community, we're looking after our parents. We're not even getting a loan from them. We're giving them money. So what we have to do, and what we have to do, is say, how do we leverage? How do we make the small amount that we're able to make on our own, how do we make it go further? That's leverage. How do you leverage? Credit. So one of the biggest things that we must do with order, we must do, is look after our credit. Because what's happening is too much time by the time you finish university, you've messed your credit up buying unnecessary things. And now you want to get on a housing ladder, or you want to start a business, and nobody is going to give you the funds to do so. And as you know, Mark, doing business for so long, business requires money.
Oh yeah.
So you can start a business on your own, but to scale, that requires investment, that requires money. If you are deemed untrustworthy with money because that's what your credit score is saying, now you are limiting your growth. This is why in our community we see so many people, one people business. You are just you. You got one shop, and that's all you have. And I'm like, well, let's think about it. If you can make it work once, why can't you make it work twice? Why can't you make it work 4 times, 5? Why can't you franchise?
Yeah.
Why do we spend so much time in McDonald's and never think, why don't I own a McDonald's?
There you go.
Why do our kids where I live right now, when we drive home, I see a queue of black kids outside the chicken shop. The chicken shop ain't owned by us, but yet it's feeding our kids. Why are we happy with this? Why do we accept this? And so for me, when I think about leverage, is your credit will allow you to leverage. Then it's about now that you've able to leverage, it's now about how do I start to invest? For me, there are 3 main ways to invest. You've got stocks and shares, whether that be your ISA, pension, or individual shares. You've got property, whether that be rent to rent, owning a property, buy and flip, whatever, property. And you've got business.
Right.
The problem is that for most of us, we chase vanity.
Right.
In the UK, we chase vanity. What is vanity? Property. Property is vanity. Why do we like property so much? Because you can show somebody a picture of your house. You can take a picture of keys outside the house. That's why we love property so much. You can walk people through. You can show them the before. You can't do that with your stock portfolio. You can't show your share certificates. It doesn't work like that. Do you know what I mean? But the reality is that, especially in our community, what we need to be doing is business. When I look at my American colleagues, the reason that there are more millionaires and billionaires and wealth in America is because the first port of call is business.
Yeah.
The first port of call is business. Property, cars, all of that other stuff comes afterwards. The first port of call is business, because business is the most likely way for you to be able to change your life. And when we start to realize that, and you start to, like we talk about side hustles, if I know that the average millionaire has 7 streams of income, I'm not saying you've got to be a millionaire, but you should at least be trying to get 3. So why do we have 1? We only get paid 12 times a year. 12, 365. If you got that on the test, Mark, you know we'll be shipped back to Africa before we've even sat down. But this is how we live.
Yeah, that's how most people live. So you said it there, you said it there, leverage, have multiple streams of income. And I would also say, see if you can get that multiple streams of passive income. So put some effort in at the beginning. Get it working, whether it's a business like you get, this shop. You've done one and you can get a general manager in there. Do another one, get another general manager. These are passive income. Otherwise, if it's just multiple streams of income, you're going to work your butt off. You're going to work hard. So do what Emmanuel's saying, which is very much, because if you can do that and leverage your money to acquire other assets, those assets, if they are cash generating, you're going to set you free. Now you have freedom of time, freedom of choice, freedom of whatever you want to do. But it all starts with how you manage that money. I love it.
And then finally, for me, where I see a lot of people make mistakes is not splitting your business and your personal. So you have to understand that your business is its own entity and it's taxed in its own way. So for me, when we sit down with clients, I let you, your business has its own wrapper, especially if you have a limited company. If you're a sole trader, it's different. But if you have a limited company, you need to understand that it has its own tax rules, it has its own advantages, and it has things that it can do for you that you can't do, and vice versa. So what happens is that people get paid and you take your money out. Every time you take money out from your business account to your current account and you don't declare it as income, number one, it's income anyway. Number two, you are stealing. People don't realize that they steal from their own business, because you need to declare that you're moving from one to the other. But also what happens is that now it becomes inefficient. The money that you're making is inefficient because you've taken it out and now it's deemed as income. They're just adding it to whatever income you've got already and taxing it. So what do? You say, oh, I hate this tax. So now you start to reduce. You say, oh, well, actually, Mr. Taxman, I don't make any money from my business. And then guess what? Then you want to go and get a mortgage and they say, well, you have no income because you told us you have no income. But you're like, well, I have all this money here. Why can't I buy a house? Well, they say, well, that money doesn't really exist because you're telling us you're not making any money. And so we're hurting ourselves.
You know what you just said there? People try and play outside of the system. Instead of playing in the system to their advantage.
Exactly.
If you play in the system, there are tax efficient ways that you can utilize.
Exactly.
If you play outside of the system, you can't use credit because they'll say you don't have sufficient funds. Where's the proof? So I love what you're saying. This is very, very important. Hey, go ahead, Manny.
I just want to add, let's be wise also. So if you, for example, have a business and it's making money and you have a partner, and like your wife, and your wife doesn't work, for example, why would you not use her allowances and put her on your business? This is not cheating. This is what other this is totally legal. And so sometimes the problem is that the reason we are making mistakes is because we won't pay for advice. It's so vital that you understand that the reason wealthy people pay for advice, or people with money pay for advice, is because they understand I'm an expert in what I do.
Correct.
So if I'm an expert in what I do and I expect people to pay me for my expertise, why am I trying to pretend I'm an accountant? Why am I trying to pretend I'm a lawyer? Why am I trying to pretend I'm a financial advisor? No, I'm going to pay people who do this day in and day out to make sure I get the best advice, so that the money I work hard for is utilized the best way. And sometimes we're so busy trying to avoid paying fees that we end up taking advice from people that owe us money. I've got people who you getting advice from. Oh, my mate, your mate, he owes you £100. He owes you money and you're taking financial advice from him.
It's a fool's way, really. It's a fool's way. It doesn't work. And I totally agree with you. And getting expert advice is so, so important. Otherwise, it leads to ignorance. And ignorance, I've found, is much more expensive than investing in yourself and in your knowledge. And a lot of the stuff, listening to you on this show here, people need to acquire the knowledge, and they need to study and understand. If they want to change their situation, other people have done it before. 90% of all self-made millionaires did it through business. You want to be a millionaire? Start a business, right? Otherwise, don't complain that you don't have enough. So for those who want to get hold of you, Emmanuel, I know you've got your book that's you've recently published. Tell us a little bit about that, and also how people can get hold of you if they want to do something with you, work with you, or whatever.
Thank you. So I've got a book called Get Your Money Right. It's basically a guide to help people. It talks all the way from how the financial system works here in the UK, how you can manage it, how you can utilize it, but also how money works in general. And then it goes all the way up from, people, how to deal with debt, how to start investing, how to use bank accounts effectively, all the way up to philanthropy or, investing and so forth. So it's not just for people who haven't got money, but also if you have got money. It's my over 15 years of being a financial advisor, the questions, the lessons I've learned, the things I've helped clients with, put in a book so that you have a source of where you can get trusted advice and understanding. Every chapter has an example, a story to explain the chapter, so you can understand the lessons that are being taught in that chapter, to make it as easy and simple as possible. So that's Get Your Money Right. That's available on Amazon, or you can go on my website if you want to get a signed copy. Now, I've got a financial advice.
What's your website? What's your website before?
The website is www.emmanuelasuquo.com.
Okay, we'll add it to the show notes here. Okay.
You can get that. So then also I've got a financial advice firm, Belvedere Group. And we help people who have pensions, investments, life insurance, all of that stuff. If you want to set up trusts, wills, all of these types of things. If you want to really get your estate going and build wealth, we can help you do that. So that's Belvedere there. Especially people, you may have worked in a few jobs and have different pensions out all over the place and not know where they are. We can help you put that all together and manage that for you, but help you build a plan so that you pick when you retire, rather than having to wait till the state. We're seeing what's happening in France right now, where they're rioting because they've increased the pension age. So it's one of those things where you want to be able to retire on your terms.
Right. You heard it here first. Listen to the Business and Wealth Show with Emmanuel Asuquo. E-Man, he is called, with Mac Attram here at Business and Wealth Show. Remember to subscribe, like, share, follow. Also, share this with your friends, your colleagues, people who need to hear the voice of E-Man here, because he's making a lot of sense. These are grounded in age-old tradition that many people will not tell you. You could spend 20 years not knowing this. Get E-Man's book, because as he's saying there are things that you need to apply to your life and your business, and to your money, and to your wealth. And if you're not, you're probably missing out. Everything builds. Use leverage to build your success when it comes to money. Emmanuel, thank you for being on the Business and Wealth Show. Any last words you want to say before we finalize here?
No, I just want to thank you, Matt, for setting up the platform. You're a big inspiration to a lot of us that are coming up, and seeing that, that Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible till it's done. Having people like yourself allow me to know what's possible, what can be done if I continue to, work hard and continue to go on what I do. So thank you for having me. Thank you for creating the platform, and thank you for inspiring us all.
You're most welcome. And I want to say thank you for your time as well. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll catch up with you very soon. All right, man?
Thank you.